the Illinois General Assembly in the second year of their two-year term, starting back up. Things getting off to a little bit of a slow start as expected. But when it comes to gun legislation, there's a ton of it that's on the table. And the Illinois State Rifle Association does monitor a ton of stuff. So let's go through some of that, as we've also got headlines out of Virginia that they have passed a ban on the sale, purchase, and transfer of certain types of firearms. Anna Dale today reports that the legislation was introduced by Democrats. In violation would be a Class 1 misdemeanor, among other pieces in this. You've got a ban on the sale of possession of various different types of devices. And this all being in Virginia. But in Illinois, we've had, of course, past year, a ban on semi-automatic firearms and all of the litigation that's been going on. No updates out of the Southern District of Illinois Federal Court. That, of course, is where they're attacking the law on the merits, with the state looking to defend the law on the merits. Of course, the Southern District case had gone all the way up to the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals on preliminary issues, and even went to the Supreme Court with a different case. But it appears that it's time to go on this on the merits, and the Southern District Federal Judge Stephen McGlynn making that happen. So we'll see what the next dates are for that. But obviously, there's a lot of other things on the table when it comes to legislation, and let's take a look at the State Rifle Association's review of some of these measures that could be coming up. They have a whole list here at their website, isra.org, where you can see what they're monitoring. But obviously, that's a lot of legislation. Not all of this is going to advance. Other things may advance. It's still early on in the second year of the two-year term of the General Assembly. But ISRA does have bills that they support. One from Democrat Anthony DeLuca in the House. It would essentially bring about, some firearm offenses for certain individuals. It amends the Juvenile Court Act in 1987, provides that if a minor has previously been placed on probation for an offense that involves the possession or discharge of a firearm, not causing any injury, and is convicted of subsequent offenses involving the possession of a discharge of firearm, not causing any injury, then the court shall require the minor to participate in social service programs offered through juvenile probation and comply with referral recommendations. So a little bit of penalty enhancements there. And looking at the latest status on this, really hasn't moved much. You've got the Repeal the FOID Act, a bill that the ISRA supports, and the Firearm Owner Identification Card is the card that's required by Illinois residents if they want to own or buy ammunition or firearms. It's currently being challenged in federal court, and clearly that's something I think is going to be moving later on this year in May. You've got the judge in that Southern District case that's going to be looking for discovery. So we'll be dipping back into that federal lawsuit when it comes to the FOID card. But in the meantime, you've got Republicans trying to repeal the FOID card. Don't really anticipate that moving forward too much. Other measures that the State Rifle Association is looking at, you've got one they support from Republican Charlie Meyer that would lower the age for the FOID card from 21 to 18. That really hasn't moved much. Concealed carry reciprocity. It amends the Concealed Carry Act in Illinois and says that Illinois State Police shall allow for non-resident firearm concealed carry license applications from any state or territory of the United States. So reciprocity has always been one of those particular issues. You've also got concealed carry fees that they're looking to drop. You've got the Firearm Owner ID Repeal Act from John Cabello, another measure that would try to repeal the FOID card. Concealed carry on public transport. This is from Republican State Representative Patrick Windhorst. And this is another issue that's being litigated. There are efforts to try to reverse state law that prohibits people from carrying their firearms with concealed carry license on public transit. And you've got other so-called, sensitive places that include, parks and certain types of buildings. So interesting to see all that transpire as well, not just in legislation that's being proposed by Republicans, but in lawsuits that are being filed as well. So a variety of other legislation that they are ultimately supporting through the State Rifle Association. But then you look at the measures that they oppose, all right? And that's a long list as well. And you can go through all of this yourself again at isra.org. You've got measures dealing with, Let's see here. Fraud and deceptive practices provides it's unlawful to practice within the meaning of the act for any firearm industry member through the state, manufacturing, importing, or manufacturing. That's already law, so the governor approved that. You've got House Bill 676 was kind of an omnibus bill, putting a whole bunch of stuff in there. There was things in there like limiting how far you could be for hunting, to enhancing the red flag laws in the state of Illinois. It's a pretty large bill. That really hasn't gone anywhere. And you'll see that there's a separate bill that would deal with some of those issues. But also measures dealing with taxing firearms or taxing ammunition. Again, another measure that's being challenged in Cook County courts. We reviewed that case a couple of weeks ago of the appeals court and state courts taking up the oral arguments in a challenge of Cook County's ammo tax and firearm tax. Other measures, again, that the State Rifle Association is opposing. One from Democrat State Representative LaShawn Ford. It amends the Firearm Owners ID Card Act and provides that the sale or transfer of firearms is subject to the Firearm Transfer Inquiry Program required in a criminal background check by the Illinois State Police of the person before the person may acquire a firearm. You've got others dealing with firearms dealers and firearms ranges and setting setbacks for certain areas, 1,500 feet rather than 500 feet from a school. So they want to try to limit where firearms retailers can be. Microstamping, this has been around for years, but ultimately it would create the microstamping funding program. What is microstamping? It's where they put a little type of serial number on certain items, and this would in particular it requires a variety of different things. Creating the Microstamp Funding Act provides the state shall establish a grant program for law enforcement officers to microstamp ready firearms. So interesting there. Another ammunition tax measure, criminalizing body armor. This is from Democrat State Representative Maura Hirschauer. Provides that with certain exceptions, it's unlawful for any person in the state to knowingly manufacture, deliver, sell, import, or purchase, or cause to be manufactured, deliver, sold, or imported, or purchased by another, any armor plate, body armor, or military helmet. And that's been stuck in the House Judiciary Committee since last year. Again, we're in the second year of the 2-year term, so a lot of this legislation is still viable and could move forward. So things that we have to consider here. So I wanted to just get this out there and get your attention on some of these things. Of course, you guys come here to get the latest on gun control in Illinois, but it's obvious that with the state legislature in session, a lot of other things could possibly happen. But an interesting note, this happened yesterday. Police arrested dozens of protesters who blocked a weapons manufacturer in Niles Wednesday. The group laid down in the driveway and chanted and held signs accusing Woodward Weapons of making bombs used in the Gaza Strip. Police in riot gear arrested 33 protesters who had linked themselves together, blocking access to that facility. So pretty interesting to see that as well. So that's just some of the latest. We'll actually be delving back into some more Statehouse stuff coming up a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. But up next, we'll connect with Chris Southwood from the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police. Talk about a variety of things, so stay tuned. That's coming up next here with Bishop on Air.